So in any case, this is the fitment. This is a 9.5. Okay, we are at the front of the car, and I'm going to do another attempt at trying to fit 9.5 wheel in the front. 18 by 9.5. I don't know why I'm not giving up, because kind of makes no sense. I'm just wasting my time, I guess, but just for the fun of it. 9.5 wide, 18 by 9.5, offset 35. This wheel is not going to fit without any spacers. I already tested it, even though I have different struts that are kind of skinnier, don't have a, well, slightly. The inner lip is still touching the strut, so we have to use a 5mm spacer. A clearance, barely anything, but it's a clearance. So there's a clearance between the strut and the lip. In any case, this is the gap that I created with the 5mm spacer. I should probably grab my filler gauge that I created or made up in the last video, but there is a gap about 4mm, 5mm I guess. If you have any protective lip on the tire, that may actually be a bit of a situation, but depending on the tire size again. And I guess I fail here, because this is how far I can go. The car is actually lifting up from the stand, so all I can say is that the wheel is just about 3mm into the fender, and I have about 2.5 degree negative camber, so if you don't have that camber on your car, you actually will have this wheel out of the fender. So what does all this mean? It means that you kinda can install this 9.5 18" by 9.5 offset 35 wheel up in the front of this chassis, but you have to use a 5mm spacer, and you will have a minimum clearance to the strut, and you will actually be almost about 3mm within into the fender. So you can go with a 9.5 by you could go with a 9.5 and 30 offset, which is going to fit exactly like this, and I don't think that will look any good. I mean, it's going to be a flush fit, but I mean, you can ride it this way if your tire is stretched enough. Like, you surely, well, I guess what I'm trying to say at this point, it's not going to look that good, and it's also going to depend, the fitment is going to depend on the final fitment is going to depend on the tire choice that you go with. So like for a daily driving, I don't think there is a reason to get anything wider than 235 in the front. Even 235 is a bit, it's a bit more than 225 spec. 245, like, why? There is no reason if you're just driving this on the street. So you can have a 235 stretched over a 9.5, and that's probably not going to rub, but I cannot prove any of that because I don't have any tire on this. And also, you kind of 235 is not really supposed to be stretched over to a 9.5 wheel, so that leaves you 245 option and 255, and probably 255 35 is the best thing to go with on this wheel if you want to have a 9.5. So you could realistically, what you can do in this case, you can create a square setup. You can have 18 by 9.5 offset 30 all around, and you can have all four tires to be 255 35 18. If you want to have a wider tire in the back, you can go to 65 35, but that will probably, especially on the LCI models, that will probably rub without rolling fenders. I'm not doing any fenders rolling, that's just stupid. So that's the conclusion. You could use a 9.5, but you have to have an offset 30 or offset 35 with a 5mm spacer, and your tire choice is probably 255 35 18, and that may actually be an okay fitment. Well, I guess maybe when I get the tires that are supposed to be in the back go for the back side of this car, when I have those on these wheels, I may actually see what the fitment is like, because I can actually put them on with all the bolts and everything. I have 2 spacers and I can just lower the car on the ground and actually see how that fits. So we can test that when I get the tires installed. This is it for today. That's pretty much all the knowledge that I could squeeze out of this availability of tires and wheels, and this is it for now. I guess more wheel fitment videos are coming up in the near future, so I guess stay tuned. Thumbs up or something for this video. Subscribe, doesn't cost you anything but helps me tremendously with creating videos on this channel. So I guess this is it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I guess I will see you all sometime in the future. You really don't want to have, or don't need to have, anything wider than 235 in the front if you're driving your car on the street. Just like there is no reason for any wide tire for the front on the streets. If you do autocross, then yeah, 265 is actually even better, but I guess it's going to be like, the question is going to be if whether it's going to rub or not. So it's going to be a tough fitment. 225 is not going to stretch safely over this wheel. 235 is borderline safe, it's not recommended. So 245, I have to check. 245/40 is definitely within spec. 255 is within spec. So that's pretty much all the choices that I can think of.